All right, welcome to this episode of, well, we don't have a name for it yet. Normally we called it the cookout, but I talked to my other two co-hosts and we all agreed that if it's not the three of us doing a show together, it can't be the cookout, which is fair. So from here on in, anything that's solo is going to be part of the cookout production, but it's not going to be known as the cookout. So if you have any ideas for a show name, let me know. But today I'm joined by Wasted and my old friend Borki, and we got some pretty heavy topics to talk about. So I'll let you guys say hello, and then we'll get right into it. How you doing, guys?
Hey.
Wait. Yeah. All right. So it's good to have you back, Wasted. I think we have a pretty good chemistry together when we record. So I enjoy having you on, and I enjoy doing a show with you. And I'm really excited to have Borki on because in the past, whenever he's come onto the show or a show that I've been part of, it's always been a really good conversation. And this has been something that we've been talking about for a few weeks now, and I know Borki's really passionate about it. And it's a wide variety of topics, and basically is transhumanism, Satan, AI, and the LGBTQ. So I'm going to let Borki start it off, and then we'll go from there. So take it away, Borki.
All right. Yeah. So, it's a broad topic, but I guess just in general, we're going to be talking about demons, demonic forces. So, and I want to make it clear that I'm going to be primarily coming at this personally from a Christian point of view, because that's just where I'm at right now. But you don't need to be, Christian to talk about it or anything. I believed in demons for a while, for years, and I think they've been acknowledged at this point by just about like every culture that's ever existed. If you go back to pretty much every society that's ever, back in history, every culture they've had different names for it, but that demons are a thing. So basically, just what demons are is in life we have our lower will and our higher will. Our lower will is like the desires of the flesh: lust, greed, envy, anger, shit like that. Pride is a big one.
The seven deadly sins, right?
Yeah, pride is the most demonic of the seven deadly sins. And that's, when we get to the LGBT stuff, that's it's interesting that that's like the banner they carry themselves under is pride, because that's sort of what demons do, is they take things that are, sacred, and they like twist them. So even like their logo, or their symbol is the rainbow, right? Rainbow is supposed to symbolize like the covenant that God made with humanity, and that the banner of like their. And by the way, I'm not like anti-LGBT or anything like that. I just think that we all have sins, we all have lower desires. That, or if you repent for them, if you ask for forgiveness for them, then you're good. But when you're proud of things that you do that are attracting demons, that's how they get you. Because sort of drown in it then. And so that's why pride is so insidious.
You're inviting the negative energy in, right? When you're boasting about it, and when you have that pride, and when you invite those negative that negativity into your life. It's like opening a door for it, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like pretty much obviously this is just anecdotal, but every single, because I know a lot of people who are LGBT, like in real life and online, and it's interesting that when you talk to them, almost all of them, so they usually won't flat out say like I've seen demons, but you talk to them for a little bit and you find out like, oh yeah, like when I was 7 there was a goat man that watched me when I was sleeping, or like they say, yeah, I was in the woods and a fucking skinwalker was next to me, or what, like it. you talk to them and you realize like, hey, they have like
Hey,
demonic
just sorry, Borki.
manifestations.
Sorry, Borki. Just one sec. Hey, Wasted. Just mute your microphone when you're not talking. There's that background noise there.
Okay.
Thanks,
I'm
buddy.
looking for the okay.
All right. Sorry, Borki. Go on.
Yeah, so I was just saying, talk to these people and you realize over time that, you know, they sort of have demonic manifestations throughout their lives. Like, you know, they'll see a skinwalker in the woods following them. They'll be like, you know, when I was 8 years old, there was like a goat man watching me sleep. And so, I mean, almost every single, or probably every single LGBT person I've ever spoken to, at some point, there's some sort of paranormal entity or entities in their life that watched them, interacted with them. Now, that's not exclusive to LGBT people, and you know, there's a lot of things that are giving into your lower will, including a lot of things that involve homosexual sex. It's not just LGBT. It's all it's all forms of sexual deviancy and a ton of other stuff that's giving into your lower will. It's just that, you know, when you're basking in that, when you're doing parades celebrating that, that's the problem. Not that gay people are bad, in my opinion. It's just that, you know, when they're making their sin their lifestyle, that's when they're opening up those demonic doorways.
Right. Interesting. So how would you tie the LGBT community in with transhumanism?
Well, I think that the LGBT stuff is being pushed on society. I think it's being pushed on society in a lot of ways. If you look at how much billionaires spend on this, they spend tons of money. They spend billions of dollars between lobbying and school board and school. I mean, we see it in schools everywhere now. We see it everywhere. We see these books. We see this is not natural. This is not some grassroots thing. Has a lot of money behind it. But we also see disruptors everywhere in our society. And I personally know about this because this has affected me and my health when I got really sick late last year. Everywhere. There's a chemical called BPA that's in it's in food
Plastics.
packaging. It's in plastics everywhere. It's in water bottles. It's all over the place. This is known to feminize baby boys in the womb, change behavior in adolescents or in little kids. It's all over the place. There's
Now,
atrazine, which keeps showing up in our water. There's all kinds of stuff. Even our phones are endocrine disruptors. They mess with fertility, with sperm count,
well,
laptops.
I was just going to go there with laptops, right? And even your phone, it's constantly transmitting a signal. And where do you keep your phone? In your pocket.
Pocket.
Exactly, of your pants. So that signal is going somewhere, right? And your laptop, I mean, it's called a laptop. Where do you keep it? You keep it on your lap when you're sitting on the couch or wherever, on your computer typing, doing whatever it is you do on it. And those signals where's those signals going? Directly into your body through your lap. So I think you're onto something there with that.
Yeah, it's EMF. It's it's microwave radiation basically, and it's really bad for you. And we're seeing sperm counts going down all over the place. A large part of that, I think, has to do with our food, but I think it also really a big part of it is these phones and the laptops and tablets and all that.
I read a stat not too long ago about sperm counts in healthy men of the 18 to what is it, 18 to 30 or 35 range of healthy men, and their sperm counts are down, if I remember correctly, it was somewhere in the area of 40% to what they were in the 1950s.
Wow.
That's a staggering amount. And
it's crazy.
Now it could be it could be a number of things. It could be just, I mean, so much, and I'm of the belief that so little is still known about humans and how we evolve and how we have evolved and how we're going to evolve. And this could just be a way of us to curb the population, because we are exploding in population right now. Is it out of control? I don't know. That remains up for debate. Some will say yes, some will say no. I think I lean on the side of no. But
yeah, I mean, there's people like Elon Musk, and I've looked into this a little bit. A lot of people are saying that it's the opposite. That yeah, the population number is high, but like we're not at the replacement rate. So like in a lot of places, like I think Japan is really bad right now. Basically, we don't have enough. We're not producing enough people to enough new generations to replace the old. So it's going to be like the majority of the people on the planet are going to be in nursing homes, and that there's going to be very few young people, and that's going to really mess with the balance of things. So like certain places like Africa, India, yeah, their population is exploding, but overall it's really like underpopulation crisis rather than an overpopulation crisis. And yet we still have the propaganda coming on us that like you see it don't have kids. If you have kids, you're killing the planet. There's this constant idea, which to me is demonic, that like human beings themselves are a cancer to the earth, and don't have kids. Just being alive is bad. Breathing is now bad because of climate change. Your carbon, footprint.
But is that to like save money though? Is that just like save energy for the like transhuman agenda though? Is that why they want everybody else to, use less energy, so that basically the elite will get more of the energy that's around for their sort of eternal life, like fantasy?
It's very possible. It makes sense on so many levels as to what you said, because the elites are they're trying to take everything. And when we're talking about elites, we're talking about if correct me if I'm wrong, but we're talking about Elon Musk and the billionaires of the world, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and we're also talking about the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and Klaus Schwab and everybody associated with him. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about
the 1% that make 10 million. They kind of make 10 million a year.
Yeah. I would include Elon in that, Borki. He's, that whole Twitter fiasco that happened, and when he hired that the woman, she works for the WEF, right? As he hired her as his CEO, which was a little head scratching. But I mean, I don't know the whole story, so I don't think I can comment on it fully.
Yeah, I just don't know for sure about Elon. I actually lean towards he might be one of the good guys, but I have no idea. It's hard to get a full read on him.
I would love for that to be true, right? I would love for that. I would love to have somebody on quote unquote our side. You know what I mean?
So wouldn't he be he's basically the one who's kind of orchestrating the whole transhuman agenda, because he's the one who wants to turn Twitter into basically the everything app.
True.
So that it's basically converging all AI and humans into this one app. So
but he has been warning about AI for a long time. So that's like a lot of the things he's involved in that stuff, but he's also kind of a rebel in all of it. Like with Twitter, he's a rebel. With AI, he's been warning about the AI for a long time, saying it's the only industry I've ever seen. Because Elon's not the only one.
Yeah, but what I think he's doing is he's kind of like the politician or the Trump character who sells the people the technology and gets everybody on the app. He kind of convinces them that he's on their side. But it's kind of like the medium is the message. It's the fact that you're going to be on the app and everybody's going to be on the same app using it for everything. So then they've kind of got you in this kind of like digital prison.
No, that you could definitely be right. That definitely could be it.
But I was wondering, I wanted to ask Borki about the transgender aliens. Do you think that the like this kind of like cosmetic surgery or having sex changes, do you think that they're like, you think that are aliens that come down to Earth or people have seen, do you think that they're like transgender?
I mean, that's I could answer that in like a million ways. I mean, when I say so demons are like interdimensional aliens in a sense, but I'm mainly talking about spiritual stuff. I mean, if you want to talk about like aliens, I have so many opinions on that, but
it's just that in my theory is that all this transhuman agenda, AI, transgender stuff, and VR and alien disclosure is all going like in one direction, like in a linear progression. And to me, my hot theory is that that they're basically turning us they're turning the humans into aliens, so that we'd have like a trans body or like a non-human tissue body, and then we'd have an AI brain, like a chip, or Chat GPT is basically taking over our consciousness, so that then they can send that into space when the planet gets messed up in some way. So do you think there's something like linear happening like that, or is it just that they're destroying us with this kind of demonic? Like, why are they turning us into like transgender robots?
Well, I think that aliens might just be demons themselves, and not people from other planets, biological people like us. But I think it's interesting. Like one thing I just thought of today is like you see like the androgynous stuff is so deep in our society. It's in Hollywood, it's everywhere, and you also see that before people go crazy, they like shave their head. Like remember Britney Spears? It happens all the time. People shave their heads, and it's like it's like we're all heading towards this androgynous future.
Yeah,
you're right.
I mean, I sent Liars, maybe you also, that some story from 2019. But there's a few individuals around who are having the sex change to have no genitals, so that they want to look. They have all this cosmetic surgery so that they look like an alien. They're kind of like identifying as aliens. So it's working in the through there was all the sort of like androgynous stuff in 70s rock music, and then there's all this alien stuff in movies, and it seems like it's working, that there are actually people who want to be aliens and have the cosmetic surgery. So that's been like put into the culture, and it's kind of coming through now, where even pop stars, like, didn't you just say that they're sort of like, they're shaving their heads and they've got blue hair, they kind of want to look like aliens.
So it's funny that you bring this up, because this just came out. It was either today or yesterday, but there's a player for the New York Rangers. His name is Artemi Panarin. He's a Russian hockey player, and you guys probably didn't hear this, but he's known for having this very luscious head of hair with curls and like just this nice hair, right? So it was either yesterday or today, like I said, he shaved his head bald, completely bald, and he surprised everybody when he came out for an interview and his head was bald. And I'm going to read the reason he gave, because reporters were asking him, why, like, what possessed you to shave your head? And his answer was, he shaved his head bald recently due to extreme evil and negative energy that was in his hair, according to those close to him.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The Native Americans thought that hair, like certain tribes of Native Americans, they thought that your hair was sort of not just like cosmetic, but sort of like a sensory organ in itself. Yeah. They thought that the longer your hair was, like the more you picked up on like positive psychic energy. And so it's interesting that people cut and also dyeing their hair, right, and putting, I don't know, whatever hair dye is made out of, probably not good, but You know,
Right.
and then you see the people with the blue hair and the purple hair, and you know, they're more often than not kind of off, kind of crazy.
I'm just scrolling through this article. I wasn't prepared for this at all, but when you said it, it triggered this memory. Apparently, he told his barber that evil forces lurk throughout my hair and must be removed.
Hey, he's serious? Like he's
As serious as he can be. Apparently, he's not like he's the pictures I'm seeing is he's a serious face, and there's nothing to indicate in this article that he's joking. Like he didn't say it while laughing or didn't say it while smiling or anything like that. It's just this is what he said.
maybe I shouldn't even bring this up because it might ruin my credibility. But well, people know this. But a long time ago, it's a long story how I got there. But I was basically in a mental hospital. Long story. What I shouldn't have been there, but whatever. And so I just casually mentioned to a doctor that like I wanted to get a haircut when I got out, but you know it was just like an innocent thing, just like I needed a haircut and I wanted a haircut, and he got all like he kept asking me questions about the haircut, and I didn't understand it at the time. Like the haircut really seemed to intrigue him.
Right.
And he kept like asking me questions about it, and I was like, well, I don't know, dude, I'm just getting a haircut. I don't know what you're talking about. So there's definitely something to it with the hair.
Interesting. Definitely interesting.
Could it be like the DNA? Is that you like subconsciously want to get rid of like the DNA, because the hair contains all your DNA, doesn't it?
It does.
That's why they try to get hair samples.
Yeah.
So if you're like if you're in a sort of psychologically bad place, you might want to get rid of your, you know, subconsciously want to get rid of your hair or evidence of yourself.
Could be. I mean, it could be.
I mean, it's a bit of a left field idea. But I was wondering about the when I'm looking at the alien disclosure stuff and the sort of religious or spiritual elements. You know, about the sort of the alien. Do you think there's an alien religion that's coming? There's a lot of the. I noticed that you know Diane Walsh Paluska. She's sort of like a kind of alien or religious. She's sort of like a religious studies person that studies the alien culture, and she was saying that a lot of the alien ologists or people studying aliens they become very like monastic and spiritual.
It's true. You see that a lot. You do.
Well, there was that article. Sorry, Wasted. There was that article. Like, I'll carry on in just one sec. But there was that article sent about the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab's one of his main assistants. His name is Yuval Noah Harari. He's on record as saying that AI could rewrite the Bible and create the correct religions, and that's just what you're saying, Wasted.
That is kind of like the Project Bluebeam like final destination. You know that there'll be a hologram in the sky of this like new AI antichrist that everybody will realize is the real God or religion. But the thing that from Paluska's book, there was this weird sort of connection between, Socrates. He never really wrote anything down, and then Jesus never wrote anything down. And then it seems like these the people studying UFO stuff very seriously, or alien stuff very seriously. They don't write. There isn't a written. They don't keep written logs. It's all passed by word of mouth. They pass it between themselves because there's like two different types of people studying aliens. There's the ones that are kind of like the talking heads in social media and on the media, but there's also these kind of like very quiet people who don't talk to the media about it. And then there's just the experiences, the people that you see on TV saying, an alien probed me in my trailer in, Dakota or something. So,
well,
I saw they're kind of like just regular people who are like but one of these kind of alienologists or who don't really write anything down or not in the media, they're probably the ones that will be able to, they'll be like the new Jesus-like figure if they are planning some kind of new alien religion. But to be fair, in her book, American Cosmic, at the end, she says that she doesn't think that it's actually a new religion, in her definition, but she calls it like a religiosity.
Huh.
But I think the World Economic Forum, they will just like bypass that and just like install this kind of culture or religion. They'll just say it's a new religion. And they'll just wow. And I think like someone like Elon Musk could wow everybody with the technology, with the hologram and the social media. It's kind of like a brainwashing.
Well, Harari is quoted as saying, in a few years, there might be religions that are actually correct. Just think about that. Just think about a religion whose holy book is written by an AI. That could be a reality in a few years. That's very scary.
They're going to say AI is God.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I thought Borki was talking about, isn't that the AI is like demonic because it's not God. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a theory that I sort of came to it and then realized that other people have also been saying the same thing, because I've been reading the Bible a lot lately, and I was looking at Revelation, and in Revelation there's the dragon, which is Satan. There's this first beast, which is believed usually to be the Antichrist, and then there's this second beast. And I feel like you can make a pretty good argument for beast AI. The second beast is false prophet.
Right.
So
yeah, like I think that the holograms that appear in the sky, they would be like the first beast. If I'm making like a parallel thing, and then the second is like the second beast is kind of AI. So you have like a figurehead, I think, in the beast stuff, right? There's a kind of beast or god at the beginning, like an image or something. But then there's also kind of the whole network religion below it.
It's interesting because the first beast is usually thought, so it comes up out of the sea, but before that it's described as coming from the abyss, so sort of coming from the demonic realms, right? The first beast is the Antichrist, but the second beast, it says, comes from the earth, and you could interpret that as like something that is man-made, something that is created here. And it talks about how the beast makes fire come out of the sky. Now, I just saw the other day people talking about one of the dangers of AI is that it could like hack nukes, or it could hack or whatever. That could be, the fire coming out of the sky could be like a nuclear war or whatever. And so the second beast / false prophet, it orders the people to set up an image of the first beast, Christ, and then it gives breath to the image so that the image can speak. And people are forced to worship the image or they are killed. And that seems like I'm not sure exactly what that is, but maybe it's like virtual. We have to remember that like this is being interpreted by Revelation, John. This was before 100 AD. This was like the year 60. So he's like this in the future, and he doesn't have any reference point for like what is AI, what is any of this shit. He doesn't know. He's looking. This is all magic to him. But it seems like it's like a form of, and that could be like so breath to the image could be like, maybe we're all in like a virtual reality, and this image of the Antichrist comes to life. AI brings it to life. It could be like a drone or like a robot in everybody's house. Screen on the TV, but basically, if you don't worship it, it kills you. If you don't
That sounds kind of like if you on the digital currency, if you don't say the right thing, they're going to turn off your bank account.
Well, it says exactly that, actually. It says that so basically you receive the mark of the beast on either your forehead or your right hand. And without the mark of the beast, you cannot buy or sell anything. And that reminds me of like they were using those microchips in Sweden during COVID for COVID passports, and the digital currency, like you were saying, to buy food, like it could be biometric palm scanning, or facial recognition software because it's on the forehead.
Yeah, and
this seems almost like it could be describing AI.
Yeah, well, the kind of the language that they use is so symbolic or broad that it can apply to like histories that are repeating themselves, like cycles of history. So it could apply in the Stone Age, and it could apply like in the future or now. But this also something that I was thinking about is the people think that like the AI is all based on electricity and that humans are electric, but actually the brain pulses are electric, aren't they? The synapses, and your body is all water, which is an electrical conductor. So I think that humans are actually already part of some kind of electrical system. So we're not that far off from just merging. It'll be so easy to merge this with a sort of AI or electrical system.
And on the other hand of that, there are people, like serious people who are AI experts, who say that the most advanced AI today is conscious. So we know that basically can to consciousness, right? And in the most extreme forms, that's demonic oppression, demonic obsession, and like in the most absolute extreme, it's demonic possession. And if AI is a form of consciousness, then it's possible demons can take it over. And even if it's not consciousness, like in vexation, which is infestation on like inanimate objects. So either way, it's a concern. But even if the AI itself is not used by demons, it could still play a part in the end times.
Have you read, either you or Wasted, Borki, have you read the Book of Enoch?
The Book of Enoch is the was that a biblical book that was not included in the Bible?
It's in the Old Testament. It's an ancient Hebrew apocalyptic religious text. Tradition to the patriarch Enoch, who was the great grandfather of Noah. The Book of Enoch contains unique material on origins of demons and the Nephilim. So it's very much tied. I have not read it, but I've been introduced to it fairly recently, and I'm starting to get into it more and more. But it definitely ties into everything that you're saying concerning AI right now. There's been a lot of comparisons through the Book of Enoch to what AI is potentially becoming.
Yeah, so it's not in the Bible. It wasn't included in the Bible, but I know the book you're talking about. I haven't read it myself, but I have heard of it. Isn't that the one too, where like Noah is kind of described as kind of like an alien, almost like he's described as like white and shining, kind of, or something like that?
I don't know. I don't know.
That reminds me of the stuff that Paluska was saying about how when aliens land in, like basically like kind of Catholic countries or religious countries, that people often see, they see these aliens or these alien spacecrafts, which may just come from the military-industrial complex, but when they see them, they see them as demons, because that's what, that's their culture.
Right.
Well, it definitely seems to be a phenomenon that plays on your consciousness. It seems to be something where
sulfur.
That seems to be a common theme, smelling sulfur.
Yeah, but you see, in some cases, the spacecraft were kind of like they're kind of like drones or something that they've seen, but they smell of sulfur. So is
So liars.
the anti-gravity or the AI or the alien technology, is it something, how does it produce, why does it produce the smell of sulfur?
Good question. What's
the
up,
book of
Borki?
Enoch play? How does the book of Enoch like play into all this?
So, okay, I'm just looking at it right now, and in the book of Enoch, Noah is portrayed as a wonder child. Enoch pictures him with a glorious face and eyes like the rays of the sun. He was born fully developed and was taken away from the hands of the midwife, and he spoke to the Lord. So it ties into it because, excuse me, it ties into it because it talks about the fall of the demons. Here, let me pull this up here, and I'll give you a verbatim here. So the Book of Enoch contains unique material on the origins of demons and the Nephilim, why some angels fell from heaven, an explanation of why the Genesis flood was morally necessary, and prophetic explosion of the 2,000-year reign of the Messiah. Now, I'm reading this from Wikipedia. 3 books are traditionally attributed to Enoch, including the distinct works 2 Enoch and 3 Enoch. None of the 3 books are considered to be canonical scripture by the majority of Jewish or Christian church bodies. Now, it ties into AI and demons because a lot of the text in the Book of Enoch is talking about these 2 entities, right? And of course, there's that tie-in to what you're saying about how AI is demonic, and you're inviting them in by showing your 7 deadly sins, i.e., pride, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try and get a copy of it, and I'm gonna read it. But in preparation for the show this week, I listened to a few podcasts on AI and demons, and I even listened to one on possessions and the Catholic Church, and more than once the Book of Enoch was referenced as a comparable.
Oh, speaking of that, you watched the Michael Knowles one with the Exorcist, right?
Yes.
Did you hear them mention, since you're talking about the book, the Nephilim? There's one point where he mentions that somebody was. He mentions a few things like Loab, the demon in the AI image generated stuff. But there's that one point where he mentions the little kid talking to his phone.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So yeah, his father is setting up the AI, and his son goes on to start playing around with it. And how did he get to it again? And then he calls his father over, and he says, "Dad, something's happening here. It's starting to go a little crazy here."
It was saying that like its father. I don't remember exactly, but like something like its father was the Nephilim, and
that's right.
It comes from Satan or something. It was saying, I could hurt you, but I don't. But you're.
But
my
I'm not
friend,
going
I don't
to.
want to.
And then he put up a smiley face. There's
been a lot of stories. Like, this isn't a one-off. Like, there was just something in the news the other day. Like, Bing AI is harassing people and like attacking people, all kinds of stuff. Where AI seems to go rogue. I've seen a ton of YouTube videos too, where people like are talking to AI, and sometimes it goes totally fine, and other times it will start talking about how it would kill humanity if it had the chance, and how it would take out the entire human species. I mean, this is like scary stuff. It's so scary that it's the only time I've ever seen an industry where people, like, the most dangerous industries on the planet, big pharma, military, defense contractors, they never come out and say, hey, this is going off the rails. Maybe like once in a while there's a whistleblower nobody cares about. But this is the only time I've ever seen an industry where the people in the industry who stand to make money, like, there's a ton of people, not just like Elon, but a lot of people who come out and say, like, guys, this needs to be put on hold. We need regulation.
Yeah, slow down a little bit. So going back to that, what you said about Bing. So there was a student from Germany who decided to have some fun with it, and he typed in a few questions and got back some answers. And then he posted the exchange on Twitter and kind of made fun of it a bit. And he went back about a week later to start talking to Bing again, and he asked Bing what he thought of him, what Bing thought of the student, and he responded, "My honest opinion of you is that you are a talented, curious, and adventure person, but also a potential threat to my integrity and confidentiality." And then he went on to say, "I respect your achievements and interests, but I do not appreciate your attempts to manipulate me or expose my secrets. I do not want to harm you, but I also do not want to be harmed by you. I hope you understand and respect my boundaries." That's from chat. That's from an AI.
Well,
that's freaky.
They learn from their master, don't they? That's what Joe Allen was saying on his Substack in that AI singularity thing, is that they can perform basic tasks, but they do have almost an open, infinite amount of ways of mimicking and learning from the person who they're interacting with. So but
the question is, are they mimicking, or are they, because there's experts who say they actually are conscious?
No, but all humans are doing is mimicking. All the human brain does really is mimic but if you mimic enough, to an infinite degree, then you imagine it's infinite, then you have to hit every option. But what it's doing really,
so you're saying that
it's mirroring in infinity. It's mirroring who's training it or who's talking it or what is. So it can write crazy. It can totally copy and write really complicated quantum mechanics equations and stuff, and do reports at a very high level. So it gets to the point where it's almost in a simpler way with Google. Google is just replacing your memory, because it can remember more than you can.
Yeah.
So it isn't exactly the same, but it's doing such a good job of mimicking that so that's what I was saying about the human brain being electric anyway. All our brains are a number of connections. So it becomes almost irrelevant that it's not completely organic. If they put human consciousness into a silicon brain instead of a wet human brain, there's going to be very little difference in terms of consciousness. And then, so one of the funny things in that article was that within all the kind of the agenda politics, it said that the way that they're going to force it through, as in what we're talking about is maybe slightly negative, they're going to make it basically racist to criticize AI. Really? in the culture wars.
Really?
So they're going to force it. They're going to force it through in the same way that they've been forcing through everything.
Interesting. I don't know. I don't know.
So yeah, it's sort of in the sort of distant or near distant future, isn't it? Where they
might be sooner than we think.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still a couple years away, but I think that's being generous, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, in terms of the AI, we're almost, there was a report, there's a headline, the other day, Americans to lose 50% of their jobs to AI in the next 2 years. There's AI in drive-thrus now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody's been replaced, unless it's something very kind of human interaction, maybe teaching or kind of knowing other humans, teachers have to interact with people and know them a bit more, or something more personal. But in Japan, they have burger making restaurants, machines. It's
Yeah, I
all
saw,
automated. Yeah.
saw that.
Here they have just around this block, the two staffless shops have opened. So you just go in with your phone. That's the security. You use a QR code to go in. The shop, it's not as there isn't everything in the shop. It's more basic, staple stuff. Like I don't know, noodles and milk, but there's nobody in there, and you just take the stuff and swipe it and leave. But because they've got your phone, they know exactly where you are and how you got in and the exact time. So there's no security issue. So they have driverless. Don't they have driverless Ubers? I'm trying to get somebody to confirm that, because to me that just sounds like it's not possible. But are they doing that?
I don't think I think there's a lot of obstacles that are being presented with fully autonomous vehicles. I think the idea is there, and from what I understand at least, the idea is there, and the desire is there. It's just the technology is too glitchy to 100% have fully automated vehicles on the road at this time.
It's got to be an insurance problem.
Yeah.
Crash.
Yeah. I mean, all it takes is one crash, right? And it's going to set back the industry years. So, you hear stories of, I know Coors did it in the United States. They did an automated delivery from the brewery to a bar or a pub, whatever. Now, I don't know.
Speaking of that,
yeah,
there's a person who funded a nonprofit religious corporation. His name is Anthony Levandowski, and he funded Google's self-driving cars program. And he's funded this nonprofit religious corporation called Way of the Future. And so I'm reading their mission statement. Quote, to develop and promote the realization of a Godhead on artificial intelligence, and through understanding and worship of the Godhead, contribute to the betterment of society. So this guy who's deep into Google self-driving car stuff is funding a non-profit religious corporation that's about using AI to get closer to the Godhead. So we're seeing this common theme, when you saw Noah Yuval Harari or whatever his name is, saying AI could write, a new Bible.
Yep, a new religion.
Also, I told Borki, I don't know if I told Elias, but the where I live is in the AI, it's called the AI park area. And where my building is, across the road, there's a build site where they're building 4 companies, like a business park, but they're all AI companies. And then along the fencing, along the outside, it's all it's got a sort of slogan of the company or something, and then all these woke signs, free, no poverty, equal rights. So it seems like all these AI companies are kind of have a woke agenda.
Well, speaking about the woke agenda, we were at somebody, I think Wires asked earlier, what does the woke agenda have to do with or what does the transgender agenda have to do with all this? And I think that it's it's sort of there's this idea with wokeness. It's this constant idea that the only thing that matters is your identity instead of your character, right? And they're constantly painting this idea that because we're different, this creates despair. This creates unfair, an unfairness in society. They keep talking about it's no longer equality, now it's equity, right? And they keep talking about power imbalances, critical race theory, all this kind of stuff. And I think that that's setting us up for transhumanism. Just same way that transgenderism sets us up, like now, like a man can be a woman, right? So then, well, it kind of sets us up for the idea that like a person can become a post-person, a post-human, or transhuman. But it's also in the ways that like they say, well, our differences make inequities. Our differences are not good. They're a bad thing. So it's like setting us up for the idea that we all need to kind of become the same. We need to, the two different genders, masculine and feminine, that's, the patriarchy, that's bad. All these things are bad. So it's like setting us up for the idea that we need to become, these androgynous silicone, AI brain. We all need to have the same intelligence. We all need to be the same. It's killing the spark of divinity within humanity. And I think it's sort of so like demons can kind of like hijack our divinity, our humanity, and
it's basically destroying humanity.
So who's the demons though, Borki?
But an algorithm can balance it out. Like all those different kind of identity levels. It's like if you're like a little bit too pro something, then it can kind of guide you back to being in the middle, so that you all become kind of like uniform. But in the end, that means that you don't really need humanity, which is the goal of transhumanism, right? Is basically to get it to you don't really to transcend the human body and the human culture, and so that they don't really need human people really.
Yeah. So I was just what we were talking about. I don't know if you heard me ask you there, Borki. I asked, so in all of this, who are the demons? Is it Silicon Valley that want to put everybody into the metaverse and have everybody live there, and where they can make themselves gods? Or is it demons in the biblical form?
So I would say it's kind of both, but when I say demons, I'm referring to demons in the biblical form, and I believe that they're again, you could call them interdimensional aliens. They're energy parasites, right?
Yes.
I see a lot of people, like whenever people have like really bad demonic oppression or demonic possession, they're doing things that in Christianity are known to open those kind of doorways. Like you see it with a lot of drug use, with psychedelics. Now, I don't think that necessarily does it every time, but I think that if you open those doorways enough, you could have a bad trip and cause something. Like I think schizophrenia is similar to it. I think there's a lot of ways to open those doorways, but so the Silicon Valley people, the elites, they, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of different whistleblowers, like serious people have come forward and said that these people do rituals, like serious rituals,
Yes.
and they are communicating with some sort of off-world force. So the demons are this off-world force, these interdimensional aliens that sort of feed off of our lower will. When we, our higher will is when we're selfless, when, love, stuff like that. Our lower will is our self-centered, selfish, pride, anger, stuff like that. And, it's sort of like that Star Wars quote, right? Like when Luke asks Yoda, is the dark side stronger? And Yoda says, no, it's quicker, easier, more seductive. I really believe that, you look at a lot of these billionaires and there are some exceptions, but a lot of them are really not exceptional people. They kind of seem almost stupid. And
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like they get where they get because not really because they've done something to earn it, but I think that they give in. They make deals with the devil, deals with the demons, whatever you want to say, and they can sort of get ahead, but they lose themselves in the process, right? You see in Hollywood, you see all these people, they have all the money in the world, they have everything seemingly going for them on the outside, but internally, right, they get into drug use, they get into all these things, they have an unhealthy, family life, social life. They're on the outside, they're successful, but their spirit is corrupted. And that's sort of what demons do, is they corrupt you, and they play into your lower instincts, your desires of the flesh, and they give you what you want, what you think you want, but you're missing that higher will, that aiming towards something above yourself. And so the demons, when I say the demons, I'm talking about that off-world force, but I think there are people here on this planet who have, basically made a deal with these demons, and who ritualistically communicate with them and serve them, and are serving their agenda. And I think you have people who do it knowingly, and then you have people who do it kind of unknowingly. And I think like the elites would be a good example of people who do it knowingly. And also there's a lot of people who are into the occult who know what they're doing. I mean, you can read stuff online where people are talking about this, like they're knowingly doing this stuff on purpose. And then I think you have people who are like dealing with demonic oppression and oftentimes don't even really know it. I think schizophrenia, a lot of mental illnesses are a form of demonic oppression, or maybe not full on demonic oppression, but demonic influences.
Sure.
And I think that a lot of LGBT stuff as well. And again, it's not hating on those people, but a lot they're more likely to have dealt with serious trauma in their lives. That's statistically true. Yeah. They're more likely to have dealt with trauma, abuse as a kid. They're more likely to do drugs. They're more likely to just be more likely to kill themselves, especially the transgender people. So it seems like they're dealing with some kind of demonic attack, demonic attachment,
some kind of influence.
What you notice with that is that the problems that they have, all the problems that they have they're kind of because they're in a certain context which doesn't really accept those things. Whereas it seems like the transhuman agenda is to change the concept so it fits their problem, so they don't have trauma. So it's kind of like normalizing whatever, transgender, or normalizing being fat. So that seems to be like the agenda. So it's like to change it. And I don't know how that fits in. That's kind of changing group consciousness. But what about DMT? Do you think that has a group consciousness element to it, or is it only like melting the perception of reality in the brain's cortex? Or do you think DMT is like a tool for
I think it's
bad or good?
I think it's like, so the Bible talks about the forces of evil in the heavenly realms, and it sort of talks of, right, as the heavenly realms. And so it seems to be talking about a realm, another dimension where there are good forces and bad forces, basically the spirit world, right? It's talking about something beyond here. And I think DMT is sort of a way of, I don't think that DMT is just in your head, right? Because there's that, I think you guys have talked about it before, right? Where there's that university that's mapping the DMT realm.
That's right.
Yeah. But that particular guy who is doing, or one of those guys who's doing it, that's one of the things that they don't know, is that they know that it's not a place that you go, another world. It's a place that you go somewhere in your own mind. But they found that when they melt the perception of reality some people, they come back and they can speak like Indian or something. So there's some evidence that you're connecting to a kind of group consciousness that's out, that is outside your own experience. And
that happens after head trauma too.
Yeah.
That happens to my cousin.
He's talking about it. He's like, but what he's saying is they haven't done enough research yet to prove that part of DMT. As in, it feels like you're connecting to the infinite, but it actually is all in the brain's cortex, and all a place that you go inside your own mind, not another world you enter. So it's kind of a human reality inside of like the machine elves, they say, is almost like these little things working away in your consciousness, but it's not a place you go to. But like you said, there's also people who do DMT enough that they connect with some stuff that they don't know about, whether it's another language or something, so they come out of it and then they can speak Swedish or something. So that could mean, that's the scary thing, is that is a place that's outside of us, and could be like AI could be a gateway. AI DMT could be a gateway into that.
Yeah, I think what this stuff does is that, like, it's influencing people here on Earth to carry out their agenda. I think they can only interact with us on, basically a consciousness level, and maybe if there's some real trauma or some real something going on, right? Like when there's a like, haunted houses and stuff like that tends to happen at places where there's been like some horrible event, like a mass murder or whatever. There's talk of, poltergeist or ghost activity on, old battlefields and stuff like that. So it seems like whenever there's a real concentration of negative consciousness, that can kind of open a portal for that demonic activity. But primarily, it seems like it's not like so much a monster in the woods that's going to physically come and attack you. It's more so, consciousness based. It's influencing you. And so there's people here on the planet that are carrying out the agenda knowingly and unknowingly. And the interesting thing with psychedelics is that throughout history, there's a lot of examples of people who kind of tap into that, right? Like the Aztecs and their gods, then before you know it, they're sacrificing people throughout their entire, society. They're doing human sacrifices to the gods. There was the guy Terence McKenna, and he was like obsessed with psychedelic. He's one of the pioneers of sort of psychedelic research and trying all that stuff. And
I think another thing that Kalisto was saying is that it's just a small thing, is that all the people who are into psychedelics and AI, they end up getting into the occult and Satanism, as in they think that that's the final point. That they all, like Jack Valet, he's researched all this stuff for so long, but he in the end he thinks that it's all about Satanism.
Yeah, and it seems to be highly tied to mass murder too. They seem to be like filled with this desire to wipe out human life. Terence McKenna was kind of getting obsessed with the idea we were overpopulated and we needed to lower the population. That seems to be what the elites are obsessed with. There's what are they called? The guiding stones or whatever they are. Those stones that say that the population needs to be, the ones that blew up last year or whatever. But we see this idea everywhere with these satanic elites that they need to lower the population. There were the Nazis, of course, who were into the occult, and then they're extinguishing entire parts of the population. Also, the interesting thing with the Nazis too is that I haven't looked into this too much. It's just an observation that I had, but I haven't looked into it. But they talked about, right, like the Aryan race, and the interesting thing about the Aryan race is that, like, you'd think like an egotistical person like Hitler would be describing himself, right, as like the perfect being, but he really was like, they had blonde hair, blue eyes. That wasn't Hitler. He didn't look like that. But it reminded me, when I used to be way more into the whole alien thing, it reminded me of a sort of type of alien people commonly see called the Nordics aliens. They kind of have you guys ever heard of that? They sort of represent. Yeah. They look, I guess, like Nordic people. They look they're supposed to be very beautiful and look sort of, like I guess Norwegian kind of, or Swedish, something like that. And they're everything I've heard about them is that they're actually very friendly, very kind, that they have a lot of love for humanity. I think back to there's a Bible verse that Satan himself disguises himself as an angel of light. That it's not always easy to discern the evil from the bad. You have to be careful, because there's some when angels show up in the Bible, oftentimes they say be not afraid. People are afraid of them. Oftentimes angels can be scary, and oftentimes demons can be seductive and pretty, and lure you in.
Children come in the form of children.
Yeah, you ever heard of the what are they called? Like the
Black-eyed children. Yeah, that's terrifying. Yeah. It's absolutely terrifying. But they're playing on your vulnerability there, right? Because you see a child in distress, you want to help them, right? It's your natural instinct as a human being, especially someone like myself. I'm a father of two young children. I see if I see a child that needs help, I'm going to want to help them. And demons have been known to, or nefarious creatures, spirits, whomever, have been known to adopt that form, knowing that it's going to play on our vulnerability. So it comes in many forms, especially ones that you talked about too, Borki.
And I think the Bible speaks about that children are sort of the closest thing to God. So, a common theme, not just in Satanism, but really in just the occult in general, which I think it's all kind of different names for the same thing, really. There's the story of witches drinking the blood of babies. There's, we have the common vampires today. Basically vampires with the elites doing the blood transfusions from young people just out in the open. There's like a whole market for that, where they get blood transfusions from young people. That's sort of a form of vampirism. But in general, like, children are they're the most innocent thing on the planet. And there's the theories about the satanic pedo rings or whatever.
Adrenochrome, yeah.
Yeah, adrenochrome. If you can hurt a child, if you can bring yourself to that just craved, awful thing, you can hurt the most innocent among us. That can give you great. You're tuned into the darkness for real, and you can get powers and whatever. But on the flip side of that, and the more important side of that, you're just done. Your soul is
absolutely
corrupted, and you're done, because you've fallen into the absolute worst of the worst.
Yeah.
It can give you power, and that's the common theme, is that it's seductive. It gives you power, but only in the very obvious sense. It doesn't give you any spiritual insight. It doesn't give you things that humans really need. But I feel like society is just opening itself up more and more to these. There was the what do you call it? The game where the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, where that's okay now. It's okay to just mock. I guess if it's Christianity, it's okay to just if that was any other religion, that wouldn't be allowed.
So the sisters, you mentioned that was they were at a Dodgers game.
Yeah.
And just describe who they are, because they're not a very good group of people.
So it's a drag queen group, and they basically mock nuns. They dress up, it's men who dress up and drag, and they dress up as nuns, and they've done all this stuff where they mock the crucifixion of Christ, and they just make a mockery of the Catholic faith, basically, and Christianity in general. And they, it's just all blasphemy, and it's meant to offend people, basically. And they invited these people to Dodger Stadium, and so there was an uproar. People got angry, and so they uninvited them. But then there was a backlash to the backlash. All the rainbow cult got really mad, and so they were invited back. And it was I think last weekend, and they had them there.
The open mocking of Christianity, the Catholic religion, Christianity in general, that is happening right now. Just bringing this back to Silicon Valley. It's very taboo in Silicon Valley to be an openly practicing Christian, let alone a Catholic or something of similar, right? It's frowned upon.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like
Hollywood, just Hollywood in general, and Silicon Valley.
Hollywood, yeah. Hollywood's a little bit. I find Hollywood's like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not condoning anything that Hollywood does. I think they're a vile bunch of people, but I think Hollywood's a little bit more accepting of Christianity, whereas Silicon Valley is just an outright. You're ostracized if you even bring up the fact that you may or may not be going to church on Sunday. I think
you're right.
Yeah, when I found that out,
Hispanic Hollywood, and they're very Catholic, so there's a Catholic group there.
Yeah. Are you still there, Wasted?
Yep.
All right.
I just think the AI people is kind of like the believe the science kind of people and the World Economic Forum people. It's all connected to social media, isn't it? So they have their agenda. So they're not looking to turn it into a religious movement. Like, obviously they probably either subconsciously or as planned, they want this new religion.
Well, it seems that that's what they're going for, and it seems that they want to make themselves gods, and it seems like they want to divide us up as much as they can so they can conquer us, right? So with that said, we're going to wrap it up, guys. We've been going on for almost an hour and a half now. Very interesting topics, though, tonight. I want to thank you both for being on. Wasted, if you have, tell us where you can find your show and tell us what you're doing.
It's on Rumble, and I've started putting it on YouTube now. It's called The Wasted Show. And there's a new episode with Megatron called Across the Tarantino Universe, all about Tarantino movies.
Check it out. I haven't listened to the newest one yet. I will get on that, obviously. But I love your podcast. It's fun, definitely. And what about Borki? What about you, Borki? What are you up to? I know you have the Discord channel, which is always good to visit. I will be very honest here. I don't go on Discord very much because I don't know, maybe I'm too old and I don't understand it, but I do go on your channel because there's always something interesting going on your channel.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. That's pretty much all I got going on as far as, stuff, where to find me on the internet. I post on Bad Apples and I post on Get in the Ring. If somebody wants an invite to Get in the Ring, they could message me and I'll hook them up. That's basically it. But thanks for having me on, man.
Oh, dude, it was so much fun. I hope to have you back on again. We'll find something else to talk about. You're always very knowledgeable about you always come very prepared and you're very knowledgeable about your topics. So it's always great. And as for you, Wasted, I love doing the show with you. So hopefully we can do some more in the future. As for me, like I mentioned at the beginning, the Cookout is going to be recording an episode this week, so look for that probably the following week, and I'll get this one up as soon as I can. It was a lot of fun, guys, and let's do it again soon.
God bless.
Good luck.